right, folks. Well, we are just getting started here. We just sort of let the first few people in the door. I want to thank you for joining me today. We're going to be talking about, I think, a topic that a lot of you are really going to benefit from, which is how to double your lead conversion using video. I know that's a bold statement, so I'm going to be giving you a lot of information to back that up today. But this is a very powerful thing, and this is something that we've seen quite a few people do. There's lots of ways to automate it. You can also do it manually for free, but we're going to be giving you a whole bunch of advice and tips on that today. We're going to wait just a few more seconds until we can get up and running live in Facebook. In the meantime, if you've joined me here on the Zoom side of things, why don't you let me know where you are watching from in the chat? It's always fun to see who's joining us from what part of the country or even outside of the United States. We often get a lot of viewers from, I know Canada for one, a few from Europe over the past few months. So it's always fun to see where everybody's coming from. If you want to let us know in the chat as everybody's popping in here. And like I said, we'll get the presentation running in just a couple more seconds. Looks like we are live on Facebook now at this point, so we're good to go. So let's see here. We got Virginia, Massachusetts, couple Californias, Delaware, more Californias, Boston. We got Vancouver Island, Canada. There we go. Okay. A few more Canadians. Always got the good representation from Canada. Appreciate that. Florida, Montana, Arizona, Texas. Very cool. All right. So we are coming from all over the place. Actually, speaking of Arizona, I'm going to be in Phoenix here for an event in about a month. So I'm very excited to come check it out. Be my first time, I think, ever being in Arizona. I mean, maybe for a layover at one point, but obviously that doesn't really count. So looking forward to it. So let's go ahead and get started. I got a lot to cover today. What we're going to be talking about is really how to double, and I know that sounds like a huge, bold statement, but double your lead conversion using video. And this is something that I have spent a lot of time researching, trying to understand as fully as possible, because I do think this is a huge opportunity. And this is an opportunity, I think, not just for people who are buying leads or paying for a comprehensive lead gen strategy, maybe on Facebook or somewhere like that. But I actually think this is something that a lot of us could be using, even if we're just working with referrals or with leads that we're generating from our sphere of influence. All right. So this will be applicable in a lot of different situations. And so here's what I want you to think about when we first get started is that there's two main paths that you can go down when it comes to using video to convert more leads. All right. And those are going to be sending personalized video messages, right? Now that's the manual approach. There's ways to do it that are totally free, which I always like sharing, right? Because it's good to have at least a couple free options. And so if you do that, you're going to be sending one-to-one video messages to your leads. Now that is manual, right? That is a fair amount of work. There is going to be some manual effort there, but it's also incredibly low pressure, right? Because every time you're communicating with somebody, it's just a single person. So realistically, if you're not that comfortable with video yet, if you're just sort of getting started with your video efforts, sending personalized video messages can be a huge opportunity because it's not going to put a ton of pressure on you. And when we work with our students in the school, this is something that we really focus on. We really focus on this idea that communicating through video is the first step. You should not go out day one and start making complicated, fancy, promotional social media type content, right? Because you're probably not that comfortable with the format yet. So I love personalized video for that reason. I think it's the easiest place that any agent should get started with video. And guess what? If you can day one start sending video messages to your leads and converting more of them, that is an immediate impact on your business that I think you're definitely going to appreciate. And guess what? When we see a positive result from something that we're trying, especially for the first time, we're more motivated to get out there and do more of it, right? So that's a really important thing to keep in mind as we're going here today. The other thing that you can do is you can also just integrate these video follow-up messages into your regular follow-up system. So keep that in mind. This doesn't have to be something that's replacing what you're currently doing. So if you're having success by texting people when you get the lead, keep doing that, right? But just incorporate video messages into that process. And I guarantee you will see a benefit from doing so. And we're going to talk about why in a few minutes here. The other version, the other thing we're going to talk about today, the other approach to all of this is that you can actually automate your video follow-up completely, all right? So you can run paid video ads online that retarget your prospects. This is one of my absolute favorite things to do because it is an automated, and it is going to happen immediately once somebody registers with you, but it's going to put you, right? Not just videos. I mean, video is a real meaningful representation of you. It's putting you in front of those prospects as soon as they register, but also in a way where you show up where they tend to spend their time, right? So the one in particular we focus on a lot is Facebook. Facebook has the largest user base of any of the social platforms. And so what's so cool is these leads come in and then they immediately start getting to know you through your video content, right? So that's pretty cool. So you also can use this in email or text. So if you do have an automation system that's already putting things out to your leads as they come in, this will also work there. And I'm going to give you some tips on how you can put that system together today, right? Now, as we get into this, I just do want to mention briefly here at the top, please put your questions in the chat. I still can't figure out why, but I always have trouble when I'm sharing slides, opening up the Q&A tab. So if you do have any questions or comments, make sure to please use the chat to share those. And I encourage you, please ask questions or submit your comments to add to the conversation, especially if you've done some of this and you've had some success and you know what works. Please feel free to share some ideas in the chat as we go here. Obviously, I normally have at least Jeff or Tristan with me, so I don't have as much support here today, but I will be checking the chat periodically. All right. Now let's start with one-to-one video. Here's what we're ultimately going for. So why, I guess we should start here. Why do you think that sending one-to-one video messages to your leads is automatically going to help you convert them, right? So think about that. I didn't say if you send the right message or if you craft your video just the right way, you're going to convert more leads. What I am saying is if you put videos of yourself in front of your leads, more of them will hire you, okay? The reason for that, at least in our experience, is the kind of content that video ultimately is, right? Video is a full-scale representation of you, right? I can hear your voice. I can see your face. I can watch your facial expressions, right? I can see the way you're moving your body. I can feel the sense that you're sitting down in front of me having a conversation with me. In fact, your brain does not know the difference. When our brains see a video of someone, we didn't evolve with video, right? This isn't something we've been using for thousands and thousands of years. So our brains are pretty much seeing that as a real person. We really cannot fundamentally tell the difference. And so that's why it kind of doesn't matter what videos you put in front of somebody, because by putting yourself in front of them in that format, you're allowing them to get to know you in a more intimate way, right? So just a quick example. And we're going to have a lot of examples of different scripts and things you can try today. But think about this, right? Imagine that you get a lead and at the same time, another agent gets the exact same lead. You respond with the worst video you could possibly make. Your camera's shaking around, you got a little mustard on your face or something, right? You're only kind of half paying attention. Hey, I just wanted to say hi and I got something going on, but just want to check in and, introduce myself real quick. I'm talking to you soon, right? And the other person sends a text message that says something completely scripted, completely professional, very formal, right, in nature, or conversational. It kind of doesn't matter. Which of those do you think is going to be remembered a day or two later? Okay, that's what this comes down to. We don't remember those automated texts or even those manual texts people send to us if they're competing for attention with a video of someone else, right? I can tell you a lot about the person I watched the video of, right? I can tell you about some of their personality. I can tell you what they look and sound like. I can tell you maybe some of the things they're interested in by the context of the video, even if it's just a few seconds long. So that is a powerful opportunity. There's so much more information that we receive from watching a video versus other types of communication, right? So this is really a way that you can differentiate yourself from your competition. And I will say this, I do think video messaging benefits you in two ways. I think on the one hand, it is a better form of communication. So I would argue that forever, video will trump other forms of communication. If you text or you email, the video is going to beat that, right? However, there's a second benefit that will diminish over time. And that's novelty. right now, a lot of people are not sending these video messages. So when you send a video, it just simply looks different, right? It stands out from the crowd. And some of the benefits, some of this increased conversion rate you're going to see is a benefit of that, which is temporary, right? So keep that in mind. The faster you get to using these tools, the more you're going to see the benefit, right? So let's talk about a quick example here, right? So we get a buyer lead. Obviously, we want listing leads. We want the seller leads in this market, but there's probably a lot more buyer leads at the moment. So let's talk about that first. And so here's just an example of what you can send, right? So it just would basically say, hi, Susan, thank you so much for reaching out and congratulations on your new home search. I wanted to send you a quick video to introduce myself. I'm Nick Niehaus with ABC Realty. I'd love to connect with you soon over the phone or Zoom to ask a couple quick questions and talk about how we can help you find the right home for your needs. Shoot me a text back with some times you are free today or tomorrow, and we'll go from there, right? You've probably seen something like that in text form before. This is not reinventing the wheel. And I want you to understand that you do not have to come up with super creative ideas here. You're just communicating in a better form, right? So when I send this over, it's a pretty generic message, right? But it is custom. It is customized to the recipient. It's a personalized video message. And so this is going to be something where, you're not going to need to do a lot of takes. In fact, I would encourage you to leave the mistakes in there if you make them. It's going to be better if it's genuine, right? It's going to be better if it feels like something. I literally just got my phone out because I saw you just signed up. I was excited. I recorded a quick message to introduce myself and I fired it off, right? And imagine if you do this within just a couple minutes of them registering and they immediately get this customized video from you, they're going to feel like, you know what? This is the agent that's going to provide me with the best customer service. I can already tell, right? Because immediately they're reaching out to me with a personal message. And that says a lot about how they run their business, right? So think about those sorts of benefits when you're coming up with these ideas. Now, that was just one example. It's just one script, right? There's a million different things you could say. And I do want you to remember that it does not have to be any particular message. You're just saying hello. And now that person knows you, right? If somebody else sends a text, they don't really know that agent, but now they know you because they've seen you, they've heard you, they've been able to look at your face, and that activated a part of their brain that says, you know what? I just had a quick conversation with that person and I liked them. They seem pretty friendly, right? So we're going to continue doing that and we're going to continue building that relationship as a result. And ultimately, you're going to see that you get much better conversions from that, right? And we're not even talking about using this to generate referrals or repeat business or, all kinds of stuff. There's a million benefits you can get from it. We're just talking about the one, right? So here's an important thing to remember is to intentionally keep it simple, no editing. Don't worry about polishing these at all. In fact, they will almost certainly perform better if they feel like you just made it that second, right? I mean, in most cases, you will have just made it that second. So it should feel that way, right? If you do that, it's going to feel more authentic. It's going to feel like, you know what? They really did just grab their phone out and shoot me a friendly conversational message just to say hello. And that's what we want, right? So from there, what do you do next, right? Because obviously not everybody's going to respond to that first video and say, you know what? Yeah, let's get together. I'm ready to go, right? There's going to be people at different levels of the buying process. There's going to be some people that, are a year or more away from actually purchasing or selling a home. And we want to continue to stay in front of them and to continue to build that relationship, right? Because ultimately what you're trying to do here is you're trying to get them to become so familiar with you, so trusting of you that whenever they decide to make that purchase or make that sale, they're going to reach out to you, right? That's what we're going for. We're trying to get to a point where there's a meaningful relationship with them, right? So here's just a few more examples. So for buyers, you can reach out and offer to set them up for an online home search with alerts, right? Now, are some people going to find that beneficial? Yeah. Are some people going to feel like they don't know how to do that on Zillow or Realtor.com or whatever? Right. Some will, right? So it's not going to resonate with everyone. So we want to continue to send additional offers. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to come from contribution, right? We're trying to give them something of value without necessarily asking for something immediately in return. Obviously, they are a lead. We do want to work with them, but the more value we can give this recipient, the more likely they are to eventually reach out when they're ready to buy or sell, right? So you can send them a list of upcoming open houses, even virtual ones. That can be particularly useful. Offer to help them find a lender for their pre-approval. On the seller side, you can offer to swing by their house to offer advice on the right repairs or staging so that they can save some money there. You can offer a free CMA, offer a list of reliable professionals that you've worked with that can help them out as they're getting their home ready to list. There's a whole bunch of different messages you can send. The theme you should recognize here is these are all short, sweet, and simple, right? We're not worried about focusing on educating these people substantially. We're not worried about convincing them why we're substantially better or different than our competition. And I will say this, that's the area where this stuff may change over time, right? Video is going to continue to beat other kinds of content, but when everybody starts making video in a few years, and I do think we have some time before we get there, you will need to be maybe a little bit more elaborate with these messages to stand out. But right now, it's just the fact that you're sending the video, right? So that's really all it comes down to. So I want to check the chat real quick here. Are people leery about opening a video? So that's a good question, right? So are people leery about opening that initial video message? And I will tell you, some will be, right? I mean, that's just a sort of stark reality of all this. And that's part of why I say, don't change what you're currently doing, right? So if you're sending messages, if you're sending texts or emails, and those are working to some degree, keep doing that stuff, right? I do want to make that point clear, is that we don't want to recommend that you only ever communicate through video, because a lot of these platforms are still a little bit weird about how they handle video. So unless you're doing something where it's clear that the video, the link you're sending me is a video and there's not any chance that it's going to be a virus, you're going to get some qualms. But think about it, right? If you keep sending this stuff and you mix it in with the other stuff you're sending, they're going to get to know you a little bit from your other kinds of content, and eventually they will start clicking on those. I'm also going to show you here in just a second how you can send these messages in a format that probably won't look all that suspicious, and it'll probably help eliminate that potential problem, right? So here's another example. This is another example from the ones I just showed you, right? So I first gave you an initial response. This one would be, hey, it's been a few weeks, maybe it's been a few months, and I want to reach out again to this lead. So in this case, we say, hi, Susan, I'd love to set you up on a property search within the multiple listing service, or the MLS if you want to go that route, so you can start viewing homes online from the privacy of your home computer right now. Our team can help input all of the criteria you're looking for in your next home, size, location, amenities, etc., so that you can see all the homes currently listed in our area and get alerted of new homes that come on the market. That way you can see newly listed homes as quickly as real estate agents in our area can see them. How does that sound? Hit reply and let me know, right? We're offering something of value. We are implying that we would love to help them buy or sell a house, in this case, buy a house, right? But we're not having to go out of our way to say it. We're not having to say, I really want to talk to you about getting a list of stuff that you're looking for in a home together, right? We're just offering something of value, and then we're putting the ball back in their court, and we're giving them the chance to reply. And here's what I've found is that when you go this route, when you try to be come from contribution, try to give them something of value, and then say, hey, when you hit reply and let me know if this is something I can help you with, you start a conversation, right? Now they're seeing you, they're getting to know you. They see you as a human being, not just some business that has their contact information and won't leave them alone, right? And so as you start to ask questions throughout this process, they will start to respond. Don't be surprised if after the fourth or fifth message, you get a response saying, I really appreciate what you're sending to me. I just don't quite need it yet because we're really thinking we're going to move in about 6 months or about a year, right? You're going to get that kind of response when you probably wouldn't have from just text or email. Okay. So just keep that in mind. I wouldn't get too aggressive at any point in this process. I would let them make the decision. But if you keep offering them breadcrumbs, things that would help them along their journey towards their eventual goal of buying or selling, you're going to eventually have them reaching out to you, right? That's a much more powerful lead. When that person reaches out and says, you know what? I've been watching your stuff for 6 months. I appreciate all your follow-up. I am ready to talk. That is going to, you're going to get that deal, right? You're probably not going to be competing with other agents for that customer. So keep that in mind as you go here, right? All right, now let me give you some tips on how to send these, because the actual technical process can be a little bit tricky, although I don't want to intimidate you at all. This really shouldn't be all that complicated. One thing I will say off the bat, though, is try not to just simply attach a video to an email or text. Now that does not mean you cannot use email or text to send the link to the video. That's fine. But when you attach a video to an email, number one, it makes it harder for that email to get delivered. It also, if it's over 25 megabytes, probably won't even allow the attachment, right? In which case you can't even send the video. So excuse me, keep that in mind. On the text side, you can text videos between phones of the same design, right? So if you're on an Android and you text another Android, a lot of times that video will come through pretty clean. Same thing with iPhones. However, when you crisscross the two, so if you're on an iPhone and send a video to an Android or vice versa, a lot of times you lose quality, right? So your video gets grainy, the audio gets degraded because it compresses it significantly. There is some updates in the works, apparently, that sometime in the next few years might eliminate that problem. That will be very exciting when it does happen. But for now, it is not a perfect system. So the rest of what I'm going to show you is going to be what you can do. But those will be two things to sort of avoid, right? So 3 different versions of how you can send this personalized video message, right? The first is if you need to send the link to a video through text or email, right? So again, we're not embedding the video in the text or email, but we want to send a link to the video, right? Now, we got a question earlier about people's reluctance to open that initial video. And I will tell you this, if all you send is a link, you're going to get more reluctance, right? So I'm going to give you some other options next that will help you avoid that problem, but that will be one challenge. However, I'm showing you this one first because this one is either free or very affordable, right? The free version would be to put your video on YouTube. You can actually upload videos to YouTube as unlisted. So when you upload it, don't list it as public, list it as unlisted. And what that means is that only people who have the link to the video can actually see the video, right? So it's not going to go publicly on your YouTube channel, right? If you have a Dropbox or a Google Drive subscription, both of those will also let you upload a video. Although I will say, at least with Google Drive, when people watch the preview of the video, it can get a little bit grainy. So I'm not a big fan of that. But those are your first options, right? And I always like to give everybody at least one completely free, completely straightforward option. And the reason I started there is that what we found is that when you get a lead, you almost certainly are going to have an email address, and there's a good chance you have a phone number, right? And if you need to respond quickly through one of those, you can put your video on one of those platforms and you can get it over to that customer pretty quickly, right? Now, the next level, and this is the one that I strongly prefer if you have the contact where you're connected to them on social media, right? So this isn't probably a good option for that immediate first response, but once you have that person in your funnel and in your database, these other tools might be more useful, right? And those are going to be Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn Messenger. So if you were to go on those apps on your phone, and I'm going to show you a little demonstration of this in just a second, it's very easy to send a message. You can either both upload a video and you can also record one directly through the app, right? Which makes this super simple. So if you have gotten contacted with or connected with that lead, reach out to them on the platform that they're going to be most likely to respond on, right? The other thing is reach out to them on a platform that you're likely to keep an eye on. So if you have Instagram, but you never open it, please don't send your messages there because you'll miss the responses, okay? So use the platform that you use, but also if you do use more than one, think about which one the client might be the most active on, because obviously that's your best chance to get a quick response, right? I'll show you more on those in just a second. Now, the last one, this is getting into spending a little bit of money, right? And those are going to be your video sort of tools, right? So you've got BombBomb and Dub. There are a lot of other ones out there, all right? So keep that in mind. I'm sure you may have one that you're a big fan of. But BombBomb and Dub work very similarly. And what they're going to allow you to do is to create a video that you can send through email that's going to look better than just a link. And so what I mean by that, and the one I'm most familiar with is BombBomb, although I do believe Dub does a lot of the same things and may actually have a trial version where you can do some of this for free. So make sure to check that out. But with BombBomb, when you send the video, you record it, then it creates a small preview. It's like a 5-second or I think maybe it's 3-second preview of the first few seconds of the video, right? And that's turned into a GIF, and that's played over and over again in the body of the email. So think about this experience if you've never used BombBomb before. You get an email. you see this little preview of the video message, and then that is clickable. If you click on that, then it'll take you to a page where it'll play the whole video. The video itself is not in the email, so it doesn't affect your deliverability. It's not going to give you any issues of limiting the size of the video, and it's also going to give you that benefit of them getting a little bit of a preview when they see it, right? So that's a really cool aspect of BombBomb, and I'm personally a big fan of that tool in particular, right? So I do want to come back to the chat. Again, I apologize, I'm going a little longer than I'd like to answering these, but let me just get back to these real quick. So do the text message videos show up as a link or a thumbnail? Well, and I know you asked that question a few minutes ago, Amanda, when we were probably talking about sending this through text or email. It's going to depend on how you send it, right? So if you have a BombBomb link, that will show up in most text message threads as the GIF preview. It'll actually show that little preview in the text message, which is pretty cool. If you send the message from an iPhone to an iPhone or an Android to an Android, it will show up as a video, at least in most cases in my experience, but it will be degraded if you're transferring between devices, right? So it's some stuff to play around with. I mean, if you send these through the Messenger apps, which I'm going to show you how to do in just a second, it will show up specifically as a video. It doesn't have a preview necessarily, but it will show the first frame of the video as the thumbnail, and then they can simply click on it and play it right there in the Messenger, which is pretty handy. All right. Next question was, what if a lead doesn't know how to use Google Drive? And that is a fair question, right? So I'm not a big fan of that particular route, right? So I think that Google Drive or Dropbox would be my absolute last option. What I would recommend before Google Drive and Dropbox would be the YouTube unlisted video, right? And keep in mind that first sort of category I listed here was meant to give you some free options. I am a bigger fan of the next two, right? So if you're willing to spend a little bit of money, or if you've connected with the lead on social media, in my experience, those are definitely going to be better experiences, right? Another question just came in. Appreciate it. Are the BombBomb videos open rates tracked, whether sent through text, email, messenger, etc.? Yes, they actually are. So one of the cool things about BombBomb is no matter how you send the video, it's going to track if it was watched. And remember, if it's a personalized video, you're going to know who it was, right? So it does track that, obviously, but it's going to be very easy to keep track of those things. It'll also tell you what percentage of the video is watched. So you can actually even understand, oh, they only got through half of that. You know, they missed something important I want to follow up on. Or obviously even more useful is, wow, that person watched that entire video, but for some reason they didn't respond yet. I'm going to hit them back again soon, because obviously I got their attention and they seem interested, right? So I want to make sure I work on that. And then, yeah, Greg's saying there's a BombBomb Chrome extension. Yeah, so BombBomb, it does the one thing it does very, very well, which is it allows you to send video messages, right? So there's a Chrome extension. You can do screen capture with it. There's a lot of really cool features there. So we may at some point actually do a whole training or series on BombBomb. I want to keep moving because we have a lot of other things to cover today, but BombBomb is a really cool tool if you get the opportunity to mess around with it, right? So how do you send these messages if you're on the social channels? Well, here's an example of both Facebook and Instagram. This is very easy. There's two ways to do it, sort of two considerations. And what you're going to do is if you're using Facebook, there's literally just a messenger app, right? So you see that see here on the screen, this logo right here is the messenger app on Facebook. And Instagram, obviously, you're going to want to go to the messenger feature inside of the app, right? Now, once you have it open and you have the person you're going to send it to, here's all you do. If you're recording a short video, just hold down the button you see on the screen, right? You would think that button is there to take a picture. It is, if you only click on it quickly. But if you hold it down, it will start recording a video. And that's how you do a video, right? So it's so simple. You just literally find the person. Now you're connected on Facebook, let's say as an example. Boom, put their name into Messenger. You pull them up. You hold the button down. Hey, it's so good to talk to you. Thanks for connecting with me on Facebook. I look forward to getting to know you better. In the meantime, if I can set you up with a search on our buyer portal, blah, 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 hit me back, right? Done. That's it. You just hold the button down. Now, if you have a longer video you want to send, that icon in the bottom left-hand corner, that's the gallery. You can open the gallery and upload other videos. So if you need to send a longer message, you do have that option. All right. Okay, cool. So we're halfway through at this point. That was a quick overview of how to send the video messages. And I do want to sum it up by just mentioning this. All you have to do is send a video. do not overcomplicate it. All right. I will tell you right now, we are still in the day and age where anything is better than nothing. Right. So if you can make some kind of video, even if it doesn't look or sound as good as you wanted, and get it over to that lead, and they watch even just a couple seconds of it, you will get better results than someone who is not sending videos. Okay. It's that simple. So keep it simple, get the messages sent, and then get better over time as you have an opportunity to practice, right? Now, I wanted to take a brief pause right here. I do have a slide to show you in just a second. And then we're going to get into talking about how to automate this entire process to set up your lead conversion in a completely automated way. But I wanted to pause here because in just a couple weeks, we haven't actually started a new class inside of Business Video School for about a month, actually close to a month and a half now. And so I did want to mention that we are starting another class here soon on April 28th. And we've done a little bit of shuffling inside the school. And what we've done is we've now optimized the first 2 months. So if you join us and you take one class a week at our scheduled class times, you will cover in that first 2 months how to send these kinds of video messages. And in addition to a bunch of other kinds of video messages, right? So not only are we focusing on lead conversion, we're also focusing on generating listings from your existing sphere of influence, right? We're going to be talking about how to optimize your lighting and your audio so that your videos come across as professionally as possible. And we're even going to do 3 weeks of labs where all you do is join up with us and send video messages. Okay. So that's one of the cool things I love about what we do in Business Video School is we don't just teach our students how to do these things. We also help hold them accountable to executing on them, right? It's not enough to just know how to do it. It's important to know to actually execute on doing it and take action, right? So I didn't want to talk about that too much today. I just wanted to briefly mention it before I got to this slide, which is our free video lessons list. And here's why I wanted to mention the class first. If you're on this list, you're going to hear about that class when it officially opens. It's not officially open for sale at this point, but in a few days it will be. You will find out about that if you're on this list, okay? So I just wanted to mention it first. Now, what is this list? This is our free video lessons email list. We send a new video lesson every single week. And if you're new to the list, you're actually going to get a bunch of them in the first 2 weeks right off the bat. We cover almost anything you can imagine, right? How to use lighting, audio, go live on Facebook, optimize your Zoom, be more confident on camera, come up with topics for your videos, all kinds of little tips and tricks. So if you would like to receive those video lessons, and if you would like to be notified when our next class opens inside a Business Video School, you just need to follow the instructions you see on the screen right now, which is to send a text message where the phone number is just 44222. It's called a short code, right? So it's not a full phone number. And the body of the message, the only thing you text to that phone number is LEARNVIDEO. Okay, no spaces. You can see it here on the bottom left-hand side of the screen, exactly what you should type. So if you want to get your phone out, do this right now so you don't miss your opportunity. You're going to get a ton of free video education, a lot of short videos, 1 to 6 minutes in length. But it totals up to several hours of free education, and you'll find out about our upcoming class when it is ready to open. All right. So again, that's text learn video, all one word, to 44222, and it's going to respond and ask you for your email address. And when you reply with that, you will officially be signed up. Okay. All right. So I think we've covered the questions that we had seen asked here so far. So we're going to keep rolling. All right. Now, getting into the second half of today's presentation, we're going to be talking about automations, right? So the first version of this was the sort of brute force, personalized, one-on-one video communication. I'm not telling you that one of these is better than the other. In fact, I would kind of recommend having a blend of the two, right? Because these videos, the ones we're going to automate, they will not be personalized, right? There's currently no way to really personalize a pre-recorded automated video. So when you think of it, if you think about both of these as two sides of the same coin, I think you're going to get the best possible results because you're going to send some personalized videos and you're also going to send some sort of pre-recorded mass marketing videos, right? And since they got the personalized ones, they're going to be more likely to open up the mass communication ones as well, right? There's going to be two things we talk about. We're going to move through this fairly quickly because this is an overview. Obviously, it's not a comprehensive training, but the two that we're going to talk about is using ads to retarget your prospects or to use an email or text automation to send this communication, right? So let me start here, which is to talk a little bit about the philosophy before we get into how to automate this, because this is really important to understand. what I'm going to do is let me just sort of sum this slide up because I don't want to spend a ton of time here, which is to say this. At this point in time, it's more important that you focus on building a relationship fast versus contacting the lead fast. Okay. So one of our friends, Grant Wise over at Whitley, likes to say, it's all about the speed to relationship, not the speed to lead anymore. Right. And we can all remember, if you've been doing lead gen for a while now, that a few years ago, it's just about who got a hold of the lead first. You get a hold of the lead first, you're going to win, right? That is still true. You can't just wait forever to contact your leads, but now it's more about what you're sending that lead, right? It's gotten more competitive. There's more people doing lead gen than ever before today. And so it's important you focus on the relationship, even with these automated processes, because if you can build a relationship with the lead, they're going to reach out to you. They're going to convert with you, not one of the 8 other people who have probably also received that lead. On average, an internet lead goes to about 9 different people or businesses, right? There is a lot of competition here, and it's important that you focus on the relationship versus simply getting in front of that person, right? Here's some examples of the videos I would put in front of them, right? So now keep in mind, this is very similar to the direct outreach method we talked about earlier, but there is a distinct difference, which is that these are not personalized, right? These are mass videos. These are pre-recorded. These are being seen by everyone who comes through your funnel, right? Here's a few topics that are very effective for helping you convert leads. And again, some of this information came from Grant Wise over at Whitley. So if you're looking for a company that can help you automate a lot of this without you doing all the work, I would definitely check them out. But here's some videos that tend to really work. The first would be show what makes you different. I would think of this also as an intro video, right? Again, this doesn't, and I would really emphasize here, of these videos, the only one I would probably make professionally might be the intro video. Even that doesn't need to be, but if you want to have one of these that's a little more polished, that looks, makes your team or you as an individual agent look more professional, that intro video would be the one that I would have, pay somebody to maybe help you make. The rest of these should not really be that polished, right? And I'll tell you why. It's because when I hold my phone up and I do a simple selfie video just like this, just looking into the camera, I'm making eye contact with that person. My face fills up a lot of the screen and it feels very intimate, right? It feels like I'm having a close face-to-face conversation with the viewer. That's going to build the relationship and the intimacy a lot faster than really polished stuff, right? If you're too polished, this can actually come across like a TV commercial, and that's not really what you're going for, right? You probably would still get better results than normal, but this will be better if you have some of this that's intentionally not too polished, right? So testimonial videos, educational content, sending them things like an invite to an event, giving them an opportunity to follow your page so they can see more of your other content. Those are all going to be good things to put in front of them here. And remember, you can keep it simple. You do not need to have a super polished version of this. Now, let me show you a quick example here. This is the first portion of one of our video recipes that we do inside of Business Video School. So every week we create for our students a example video of a video we think they could use in their business, whether it's for lead conversion or for marketing to their database, whatever it might be. We create an example video, a script. We create instructions on how to make the video, and we even write the Facebook post for them if it's intended to go on social media. So this is an example of just a part of one of those video recipes, right? So this would be home buyer lead follow-up. It'd be, hey there, thanks so much for reaching out and congratulations on your new home search. I can't tell you how honored I am to potentially help you find your dream home. I put together this video to answer a few common questions about buying a home right now and talk about next steps, all right? And then I'm not going to go through the whole script because it'll take a couple minutes, but then the rest of this video goes through a bunch of educational components, right? So here's some frequently asked questions, and then here's the next step you should take. Guess what? If this lead registered with other people, you just spent a couple minutes teaching them something about the real estate process, right? You've established your expertise, you've built some rapport with this person, you've gotten them an opportunity to get to know you a little bit. This is a very powerful thing to do, right? Because now that person, that lead, is associating you in their mind with real estate expertise, right? Everybody else that might be texting or calling them doesn't have that distinction, right? So right off the bat, you really differentiated yourself. And so, that's a great way to automate the process. And the thing you'll see here is that that's not a personalized message. There's nothing in there that's going to be customized for the recipient, which means we can put it in front of lots of different people, right? How do you get this in front of them? Well, again, this is where these tools really come into play. A couple of my favorite are going to be BombBomb and Active Campaign, although I believe you can also do this with things like Dub or MailChimp. But here's what you would do is you want to create an automation, right? Now, my personal favorite email and text automation platform is Active Campaign. That's because it's incredibly complex. And as a marketer, it allows me a lot of flexibility in what I do. That being said, just use the platform you're familiar with using. So if you already have an email automation system, if you have like an autoresponder or a drip campaign that you're currently running, use that system, right? You can use unlisted YouTube videos, you can record them on other platforms, just use what you're familiar with, right? But if you want a new system, I think BombBomb or Active Campaign are both great options. And what you want to do here is you're just going to build a sequence of video emails or text messages, depending on which of those strategies you're using. I'd recommend a little bit of a mix of both, obviously more emails than text more than likely. And then you just want to integrate video, right? So again, if you've got one already, go in and slowly convert some of the messages to videos, right? That's all you have to do. This doesn't have to be a complete replacement for what already works for you, right? So those would be a few options in terms of automating it through email or text. However, the one that I think is even maybe even a little bit more powerful is using Facebook ads to do this, right? So I want to talk about that for just a couple minutes here. And I know we're getting towards the end of our presentation. Just so everybody knows, we do have to hop off about 10 till to open the room up for the next webinar. So we got about 10 minutes left. So when you're doing this with Facebook ads, here's what you're ultimately doing. What you're doing is you're saying, okay, once someone registers with me, however that might happen, if you're buying the leads, if they're registering on your website, whatever it is, right? As soon as they give me their contact information, I want them to start seeing my videos on Facebook, right? Now, guess what? Facebook owns Instagram, so you also can show them videos on Instagram, right? Just between those two platforms, you've got the large majority of people in the United States, right? Are there going to be some leads that aren't there? Yes, right? There will be some people that fall through the cracks in this particular system, but in about 90 to 95% of cases, the people who register with you will end up seeing you pretty quickly on one of those two platforms the next time they log in, right? So you can imagine how powerful that is. And so here's one other aspect of this that I really like is that when people see you on social media, even if it's a paid ad, it has a different feeling to it, right? When we open up an email and we see a video and we click on it, you know, there's sort of an expectation there already that, hey, this is a little bit of a promotional thing, right? Because we're used to getting bombarded in our emails. On Facebook, we're used to seeing our friends and family and then dealing with the ads that are mixed in, right? But I think that's a powerful context. So if they see a video of you next to videos of their family and friends, I think it's going to feel a little bit more personal, right? Now, we could probably debate that specific, but I personally like that aspect of this, right? So let's talk about how you target these people, because there's a few different ways to do it. And I also want to mention the iOS 14 update, because I'm sure a couple of you are sitting there going, yeah, but some of this might not work anymore with the tracking features changing. And that would be true, right? So first of all, the number one thing I would want you to focus on trying to do here is trying to get the contact information of the lead first, okay? If you have their name, phone number, email address, or even just the phone number or email address sometimes, you can put them into your customer list in Facebook and you're going to be able to target them with ads. If you use these other kinds of targeting, you might run into problems because of that iOS 14 update, right? Which basically means that some people are opting out of being tracked online, right? If you have their contact information, you can target them because they opted into that, right? They opted into giving you that information and therefore letting you use it. The other kinds of advertising they did not opt into, right? So you can, but here's the thing, right? A lot of people still haven't opted out yet. So these other options are still pretty powerful. So you can do engaged with, that's a kind of targeting you can do with Facebook ads. So did they engage with your Facebook or Instagram page? In other words, did they like it? Did they comment on a post? Did they share a post at some point, right? You can target people who have been engaged with your Facebook events. Maybe they RSVP'd, maybe they said they were maybe going, right? Those kinds of things. You can you can target people who engage with your videos, right? That one it's still one of my favorite kinds of targeting on Facebook is to say, hey, this person watched my previous videos. I want them to keep seeing my content. That's pretty cool, right? So that's one way you can do it. And then ultimately you can target people who have engaged with your previous ads. So maybe you've run a lead gen ad and you want to keep getting in front of the people even that didn't necessarily sign up from that ad. That's how you would do that, right? And then the last one, and the one that's almost certainly going to take the largest hit from the iOS update, is targeting your website visitors, right? So people who have been to your website and then continuing to target those people. So what I'm going to tell you to really focus on here, if possible, is that audience, that contact information list, okay? So we're gonna wrap this up here, and obviously there's a lot we covered today that you're gonna want to go maybe dig a little bit deeper into. But the last thing I wanted to mention here is, how do you automate the process between your lead gen efforts and Facebook? All right. Well, if you have a paid Zapier account, this is actually not hard to do. So what Zapier is, if you haven't heard of it before, Zapier is a tool that lets different websites communicate with each other, right? So in other words, if somebody signs up on your website using a Zapier integration through what's called the API, which is basically sort of a backdoor to any website where they'll allow you to pull out or put in certain information. But what you're doing is you're taking your CRM and you're saying, when someone's added to this list, my leads list, right? I want them to automatically be added to my customer list on Facebook. It takes about 3 minutes to set up. If you're not as tech savvy, you may want to ask for some help. But it's not really that complicated of a process. So you integrate the two. So you have your website. In my case, I use ActiveCampaign. So I know that's maybe not as common in the real estate industry, but I use ActiveCampaign. And so when someone's added to our list of new customers, which that already happens automatically, they come into our website product, they sign up, they get added automatically to this list in ActiveCampaign. Now I have it set up that Zapier will then see that person and then automatically move them over to Facebook, which is pretty cool, right? So that is a really cool thing you can do with Zapier. And what that's going to mean is, now as soon as someone registers with you, they go over to Facebook or Instagram, and for the next few days, they get to know you. All right. They start to see your intro video. They start to see a testimonial video from a client. They start to see your educational content where you're telling people how the real estate transaction and process works, and you're helping educate them, right? And they're getting to know you, right? And at some point, they're going to reach out to you, or you can invite them to something that's going to help convert them, right? Maybe you're getting buyers. Maybe you're going to hold an online buyers seminar, invite them to that, right? If they sit through that whole thing, you're going to be able to convert them into an actual customer, right? So again, just because they're a lead doesn't mean the work is done. You got to continue to build the relationship until they're actually ready to hire you, right? And this is an incredibly powerful way to automate that process, okay? All right, so we do have a couple minutes left. I unfortunately don't have a time for a demo. I didn't actually expect to, but I just wanted to leave that in there in case we did. But we do have about 4 minutes left. And so I want to ask, I want to invite you to ask any questions that you might have. I know we went over quite a bit of information today. And what I do want to say is this. This obviously wasn't a comprehensive training. I mean, we only have about 45 minutes usually on these webinars. So what I would encourage you to do from today, because I cannot stand when people don't take action after they learn something like this. What I would encourage you to do is look at the different options I gave you, right? Direct messages, Facebook ads, email automation, text automation, the different things we talked about, and pick the one you think you'll have the easiest time getting started doing. All right. I would imagine for about 95% of you, it's the video messages, right? So start there. And then as you see the benefits, start to look at the more complex automated approaches, right? If you send a couple dozen messages over the next week or two to the leads that you get as they're coming in, and I don't know how many leads you get, right? But let's say you get a couple dozen in the next month, and you were to send a video to all 24 of those in that case, you're going to see some results. You're going to see some differences in the way things are working. And that's going to motivate you to then go try more stuff, right? So think of it that way. Don't look at that last one in particular with the Facebook ads and the Zapier and everything that goes into there, and then feel like you got to start there, okay? Because that is probably the most expansive version of all this. All right, so I'm going to check the chat next. Real quick reminder, I did leave up on the screen here our video lessons list. We will be announcing our upcoming class on April 28th to that list. So please make sure you do get yourself registered because we're going to be hopping off here in just a couple more minutes. So looking at the list here, let's see, we've got how to send video text to expired leads without being considered spam. Well, that's just it, right? There's no necessarily way to communicate in a way that's not spam if you're violating the rules around spam, right? So what I would encourage you to do is consider the source of the lead, right? So if you're dealing with expireds, you got to follow the rules. And if the rules state you're not allowed to send them an email or a text, and I'm not saying what the rules are in your state because I do think they vary a little bit, but whatever the rules are, you got to stick to them. However, remember, video can be inserted into lots of other forms of communication. So if you are allowed to send a text, you can send a link to a video, right? Or if you are allowed, I mean, even think about it, if you're allowed to call, and that's what you got to do first to get a conversation started. But then once they say, hey, let's talk a little bit further, then you can start to automate the follow-up with video, then do it that way, right? So make sure you're sticking to the rules. But wherever it is that you can insert video, and that's maybe a bit of a bigger picture interpretation of this whole presentation, is just wherever you can insert video into your sales process, you will see better results. All right. And I really want you to understand that. Just find somewhere to use video and it's going to pay off. Okay. Every single time in my business that I've thought, can I turn this into a video, and then I've seen better results in one form or another because of that. All right. So just kind of think of it that way and be a little creative about where you can insert it. All right. And then where do you add that customer list on Facebook? So again, we don't have time to get into the full demo here, but I'm just going to explain it really quickly. What you want to do is you want to go into the Audiences tab in the Facebook Ad Manager. All right. So if that doesn't sound familiar, just stop there and you're going to need to do some research. I will tell you, if you want to run your own Facebook ads, you're going to need to dedicate several hours just to get an understanding of the platform, probably several dozen hours to sort of get to really familiar with it. So keep that in mind, right? But if you want to do this, you go into the audiences section of the Facebook Ads Manager and you create a custom audience. And in that custom audience, you'll see a customer list option. And then once you're there, you can simply upload a CSV file from your CRM. So go into your CRM, download your contacts, and then go in there and upload them to Facebook. And then if you want to take it further in the future, you can do the automation between Zapier that we talked about. All right. Hopefully that gives you at least somewhat of an answer to that question. I know this stuff can be quite complicated. So, all right. Well, I think that's all the questions that I saw come in. It is 10. Well, it's actually 9 till now. So I do got to get off of here because there's another webinar coming up. Thank you all so much for joining me this week. And please, like I said, keep in mind that we are launching a new class here in just a few weeks. So if you're not on that list, you got about 10 more seconds to get yourself on it so that you can hear more about it. But otherwise, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here today. And hopefully I'll see you again on an upcoming Business Video School webinar here inside of LabCoatAgents. All right. Talk to you later.